Hello. So guess what just happened? I was messaging my COO and I said, dot, dot, dot. And then she wrote back however long later, she's like, what? And I was like, I have no idea. I completely forgot. I don't know what I was saying. And she started laughing. I guess I scared the crap out of her. Well, that's what my team gets to deal with on the back end with me. Welcome. If you're brand new to me, please let me know so I can say hi to you and come stalk you and see where you're from. Let me know where you're at in the world. If you're part of my community or if you know me, please say hi. Man, I've been avoiding talking about this. I'm not going to lie to you. I think I feel like I just am getting on the other side of it. And I was like, I don't know why. I was just avoiding talking about it. However, I know that it's a really big deal. And God, would I have given anything for somebody else to be talking about this? And basically, it's really this idea that, you know, there's a lot of ways that people are running their online companies. And, you know, the way that I do mine is because I'm a little bit hyper and I always have all these creative ideas. So the way that I've run my company is by always creating new things. I walk it out myself and then I get the results on the other side. And then I'm like, okay, this is how I did it. And I create containers for this is how I did it. Like the ultimate how-to is basically how I went from feeling exhausted by my company to actually loving the ride and enjoying it and feeling that expansive, spacious energy. So here's what happened. For those who are interested, I had a very successful method. So basically, I learned from some of my mentors, you know, the gist. So there's a mastermind, right? And that's like set up the way it's set up. And then they have like one-on-one access to me. So they're my private clients. And then I have groups that I run. So 1 or 2 groups a month that I create and I run. And then I have, I had a membership area and we are tweaking it and making a new one that's coming. And then, you know, one-off things and stuff like that. So, and then we resell the digital programs as well, which, as the queen herself taught me, those are assets. Digital programs are assets. They're so important. They're so big, especially now they're only going to get more important and bigger and bigger. So if you've been on the fence about if you should create digital online knowledge-based products, yes. And if you need help knowing how to, please let me know. Oh, and before I forget, the ultimate how-to, because somebody always says, I didn't know. Tonight at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, the 50% off coupon, the early bird special coupon, is null and void. It's removed. The code won't work anymore. So if you have been on the fence about the ultimate how-to, now's the time to make that decision before midnight tonight Eastern time, okay? All right. So I had a mastermind. This is like basically the overview of my company. I have a mastermind with my private clients. I have digital programs that I offer, so they're group programs. I have one-off drop offers that I do. People can come meet me in person either for a day or a whole entire weekend. You know, people can have an all access pass. So that means every digital program I run, they can have access to those. They could have an all access pass to Voxers. So they have daily Voxers with me back and forth. So there's many different options for people in my community that are interested in working with me. You can find a level that works for you and opt in. And we have a new one coming that's, you know, really like the first step that you would go to, which I'm super excited about. But I was feeling freaking overwhelmed. I was feeling like I have to show up and create 2 new programs every month. And for the first 3 years of my company, that felt really good. Do you know what I mean? Like it felt good. Look, we're going to change our mind sometimes. It's going to feel good sometimes, and then it's going to feel overwhelming or bad sometimes. And that's just the way it is. Tell me if you've experienced that. In this journey, it's like something you were super excited about, and then it's like you're not excited. Like in the beginning, I loved doing enrollment calls, and then I didn't want to do them anymore. And for the last 3 years, I haven't really done any enrollment calls, with very, very little exception, right? So, but for the first year and a half, I think, I loved doing enrollment calls. It was like my favorite, but then I got burnt out and didn't want to do those anymore. But it's a problem when the thing that you get burnt out of is the foundation of your company. So the resales and the new programs is where the majority of the income comes in besides my high-end clients. That's another portion of the majority of my income, right? And I literally just refused to do it anymore. I just didn't want to do it anymore. I was done. And what happened was I went through the season of doing some really epically brave shit. that some people would call very reckless or crazy. But I've always done crazy, reckless stuff. And hi, Richard. How are you, brother? Good to see you. I've always done reckless, crazy things, and it's always worked out amazing. Well, this time, one of the things I did not work out amazing, and it kicked my ass. And the truth is, for like 3 months, I kind of ignored it. I just pretended it didn't happen and hoped it would fix itself out of my naivety or my ego or pride or exhaustion or whatever. I don't know what it was. It was like I was loving life and excited. I was having so many amazing things, but this area over here, I wanted to ignore. I didn't like it. But even with that failure, there was a part of me that was resisting looking at it because I refused to go back to what I knew worked. I did this certain thing, this worked. I can teach anybody how to do it. It's amazing. Some people will love it forever. Some people will do it in the beginning to get started and shift it. But what happened was I only knew to do what people taught me to do. You know what I mean? Like, I only knew how to run this company based on the people who modeled it in front of me. And like, these are the different, like, these are all the different ways that people do it. These are my choices. This is what I can do. And the one that felt most natural to me was the one that I did, but then I just didn't want to do it that way anymore. I had created like 50 digital programs. We weren't reselling any of the old programs. We just kept creating new programs. And I was feeling annoyed. Like, I didn't want to have to create new programs. At this level of success, I shouldn't have to do anything, right? But yeah, I didn't know what else to do. So inside of the program, I'm going to tell the whole story. You guys are going to get like a real back scene. But what I did was I absolutely refused to go back to what I knew. And it required me to learn how to get really clear to build a business based off of me. Not off of all the people. It's a really amazing gift, I feel like, to have in my head what I have, which in the ultimate how-to, I am going to download that too. I'm literally going to show you all the different ways that I've seen people run their company and all the different choices you have. But that was overwhelming and annoying. And so even though everything was so incredible, there was always this feeling of like, but I have to do that. And I did not like that feeling. But like, I have to do this thing or else it's not going to keep working and scaling, right? So I failed at one of them, but on the other end, what that massive failure taught me how to do, because I had no choice. I had no choice. There was nobody in front of me who was modeling the kind of company that I felt like would feel expansive and luxurious to me, and the freedom and the happiness, because I'm not about that life. Hi, Anna. I love that it's morning for you over there. I'm just about to go to the store to buy some groceries to make dinner for some friends tonight. So I was required to learn a process to take myself through to get really clear what my company would look like, what I would be doing to make money, to serve my clients, to bring the most value that I could bring to them, and what the system and sequence and power moves and what my daily skills would be, not based off of anything anyone else is doing. And I kind of thought I was doing that already, but I wasn't. I really was limiting myself to what I had seen and learned. And I'm really grateful. I've been in a ton of masterminds. I've learned from the most incredible people. I had the opportunity to be in some rooms with some really incredible people. And I've invested heavily in myself along the way. I made money invested. I wasn't the person out buying brand new cars. And like even my house, it's this big, beautiful home in Florida, but it was within my means, right? Like $2,500 a month mortgage. Like everything was like, I didn't even notice those prices. I bought myself a Nissan Murano, right? Like all these very affordable, not fancy things because I wanted to keep investing until I felt like, I got it. I wanted to know, how do the billionaires become billionaires? And I feel like I know that now. I don't know that I could get myself there, but I do know how to try. I get at least in my head how I would try, like, oh, that's how you do it. It makes sense to me now. So, okay, let me stay on track. So what I had to learn was, what do I do to get really clear what my specific way of running my company would look like? Because if you're in my industry, you're the product. If you're selling any kind of knowledge-based, even if you're selling a product, but it wouldn't be the same with a product, no. If you're selling anything knowledge-based, you are the product. You are. And if you aren't feeling like every day you're so excited and lit up to do how you're doing, maybe, for me, it felt like I thought I was. I really did. I thought I was doing what I wanted to do until I didn't want to do that anymore and I realized I didn't have any choice. I didn't have any other choice but to do it that way because I didn't know what else to do. And nothing modeled in front of me gave me an avenue. And you know the saying, you guys know the saying, right? If I can see the whole path, it's not my path. Motherfucker, I teach that to my clients all the time, but I missed it myself. I freaking missed it until it was like kind of like an emergency and I didn't have a choice but to like face this thing, right? So anyway, the gift in the 5 months of the last insanity that I've been dealing with, I just got a new haircut and it's pretty bad, but I also just got out of the pool. Of course, I get a haircut and it's like the worst haircut because she admitted to me, she's like, I haven't been doing hair for 2 months. So then she cuts my hair. She does a really bad job. And I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, do all your other clients. And then when you feel like you got your skills back, you can cut my hair again. And then my team's like, boom, like the whole rest of the week is all interviews, like scheduled summits and interviews. And I was like, really? Of course you did. Anyways, okay. So what I had to learn how to do was create a process where I got really crystal clear what worked for me. Because let me just tell you, once you're running your company and let's say your monthly bills are $30,000, now you have to bring in the $30,000. So even if you're hitting, 160, 80K months, if you then all of a sudden want to change everything, you can get stuck in a trap where you don't have a choice. It's like, oh, this is how I have to do it now because now I have to pay my team. I have to, pay my mentors. I have to do all these things. And there's no way, unless you're going to burn it all to the ground and redo it, you kind of get stuck in this trap. And I feel like a lot of people are getting stuck in that. They're creating debt and they're doing what somebody else is telling them to do. And it's feeling heavy or clunky or there's a lot of resistance to it and they don't know how to actually design their company and their daily moves and their power moves and their tasks so that they're actually, oh, I know how to make the money and I have the flexibility to do it any way that I damn please because I know these power moves to make money. So what I learned how to do was, I know, Anna, I know, but the lesson was so worth it because what I came out of was this incredible, I'm like, honestly, even this morning, my ex needed help. And what I learned, the process I just took myself through over the last 5 months is everything that the ultimate how-to is. It is like, I said to him, I'm just going to toot my horn for a second. It's okay. I said to him, I was like, the whole world needs to know this. The whole world needs to hear this. Like, I need everybody to be able to have this process so that they know how to do this because it's going to save an ungodly amount of time and money and resources and mistakes and failures and failed businesses. People who start doing this kind of thing and they fail within the first 10 years, the numbers of people failing is outrageous. And because now people are flooding online, and so what they're going to do is they're going to take a look at someone else's path and they're like, okay, I can see the path, and they're going to start following that path. And thank God I learned this lesson now before I'm actually on the path heading towards billion, right? But I know that's coming. So like, thank God I learned it here while I'm at like the first, 1.5 million, the first 3 years, 1.5 million, on track for like 2 million. Like, okay, thank God I'm learning it at these numbers. And I feel like I want to catch people at the beginning of their company or people that are like, okay, now I'm at a place, like I would love to catch people before they're stuck in a trap of having like, the company expenses being like 30K or anything like 30K or above. Like, I would love to catch you before your company expenses get there so you can learn this and implement this. And even if you're past that, it's okay. I got your back because I just had to walk myself through it. So it's not easy. It's harder once you're there, but I'm telling you, it's well worth it because you're going to get to the point eventually. It's not worth doing this if it's not fun. I refuse to pretend it's fun. Or like, I've had moments where I felt awful. And I wanted to, like, I felt like I had to go online and talk about some kind of win or some kind of thing. And I just was like, I'm not doing it. I don't give a shit. Let it all burn down. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to pretend something is what it isn't. I'm just not. I'm not going to live a life that seems like it's fun on the outside or on social media, but really on the back end, it's hard and it sucks. And I feel trapped. And so the second I felt like I feel trapped, that's it. I just started, I just did like massive stuff. Like I absolutely refuse to be stuck in this kind of trap. Hi, Tammy. So, okay. So once I realized that I was in that trap, I was so tempted. I was so tempted just kind of like fake it and just do the work on the back end to like be content with what is and like appreciate what is. And, I had these judgmental thoughts like, well, Mandy, you're making this much money and have this much freedom and success. You can work from anywhere in the world. You literally just do whatever you want. You invest in anything that you want and whatever you learn, you create for, and people get to learn behind you. I mean, it's literally the creme de la creme. Like everybody on the planet would love to have that kind of time freedom and money freedom. And yet you're dissatisfied with it. And I was like, nope, I'm not letting that story come in. It's not about that. It's not about that. Money doesn't make you happy. It doesn't make you happy. It has to look like something that makes you happy. And you know what makes you the most happy? When you're doing something that you feel like you're becoming the human being that you want to be. So when you're keeping your word to yourself, when you're taking massive action right now, instead of telling yourself a story like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later, it never feels any easier tomorrow. Tomorrow just feels like right now. So tomorrow you're just going to be in the same moment right now. And people say, well, if I do it tomorrow, it'll be easier. No, it'll be harder. Because every time you tell yourself, I'll do it later, you develop the skill to tell yourself. So your brain's like, oh, that works. We'll keep doing that. So your brain will just keep serving you. We'll do it later. We'll do it later. We'll do it later. And you're building and building the skill of saying, let's do it later. Let's do it later. And before you know it, now you have this really powerful skill of doing things later, which is not the skill that you want to build. Right? So it's like these kind of things and knowing how to actually get yourself to show up powerfully right now, that only works if it's something that you enjoy doing. And you're becoming someone you want to become, the person who keeps their word to themselves, the person who does really brave things, the person who will say the second it's not what you want it to be is like, hard stop. I don't care what needs to happen. I'm not going to I don't need to showcase anything to anyone. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I don't need to, like I felt this pressure, like my company went from 0 to 500K year one, and then every year it's been 500K, 500K. So like the first 3 years out of the gates, 500K every year is insane. And so the fourth year I was like, it has to be 500K or more. And then I was like, for who? For what? Right? Like, for who? You know what I mean? Like, who does it have to be there for? Now, I love to just be like, yeah, it gets to just expand. It just gets to go to the next level. But I hit this wall. Like, I just refuse to show up every day and do something I don't want to do. And the second it was something I didn't want to do, and then I recognized I didn't have a choice, I knew that was something I was going to be able to walk other people through. So I spent 5 months walking myself through this, and I did some big shit. Like, let me just tell you, going from first class flights and, staying in these incredible hotels and having luxury things and experiences and just being treated really well was healing for me. It was like, it felt so good. And then all of a sudden, like, I hire a CFO and I'm like, okay, I made a mess. I got to clean it up. And my CFO is like, return your lease, take over your son's car, and Hyundai Elantra, which by the way was the car I drove when I was on welfare. And I was like, come on. And then I was like, yeah, but who cares? Who gives a shit? I didn't know how to do something. I did some really brave shit. It didn't work. I made a mess. I'm cleaning up the mess while I'm also learning the skills and the gifts to be able to create the life that I love. Because once I hit a certain level of success, I realized I wanted it to be different. And so I walked myself through that. And I'm so grateful that I did, because now I know how to lead other people and walk with other people to the place where they get really clear. Since this is the person I want to be in 10 years, these are the skills and these are the ways and the things that I would be doing every day to become that person. And let me just tell you, the resistance that just moves out of the way, because you're not telling yourself, I have to do that in order to get the result, but I really don't want to have to do that thing. Not like, I want to work out, but I don't want to work out, but you really do want to work out. You're just being lazy. Let's work through the pattern. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you truly didn't want to become that person. Like maybe you felt like you had to embody being flagrant or loud or like luxury brands or some other kind of thing, right? Like you just thought maybe you had to do that, or you had to stay at all these luxurious places or something. We have so many bullshit stories about what it has to look like, and it never did. But until you get really clear, and if you don't do it with me in the ultimate how-to, just make sure you do it. Find someone. You're not going to be able to navigate this by yourself. Einstein. You can't, what is the saying? You can't walk yourself out of the problem. He doesn't say that. That's my language. With the same brain that you got the problem with. Somebody else knows the quote. You can drop it below. Right? Like you can't fix the problem with the same brain that created the problem. Right? Like I had to literally full stop and then pull in like some serious resources for me to break through the patterns that was telling me it had to look like somebody else was doing it. I had to be able to see the path in order to be able to do it. And I just forgot. I just did. I forgot, or I just didn't see it. I just flew right by it. A little bit of naivety, a little bit of pride or ego, probably a lot of naivety, a little bit of pride and ego. And it is what it is. So I learned how to get really clear who I want to be and what my gifts and skills are that I want to embody and what the system would look like. Not just the system for my daily power moves, but that's all I really need. And then that's what I said to my clients. That first part that I teach you in the ultimate how-to is worth every penny of the investment. Because if that's all you knew how to do, because what happened was even when shit hit the fan, I still knew my power moves. So the business just kept going and we just kept going. Now there's a huge mess to clean up. So I have to it couldn't just stay that way. Like I literally had to clean up the mess. It was what it was. I had to eat my humble pie every single day for 5 months. I've been eating humble pie and it was so good for me. I'm so grateful for the experience. It's been so good for me. Like I had no idea how much pride and ego I really had. Like I did. And I didn't know I did, but I did. And I'm sure now that I see it, I'm like, oh, I'm sure there's way more that I don't even see. And I really was like, okay, I'm willing to go through whatever it takes to clean that up. I really am, because I want to be a humble, excited, loving, creating a powerful container in space where we actually celebrate our wins and we love and we expand, because why wouldn't we? It's like oxygen, it's everywhere. But to not feel like that pride that I was feeling, like, yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. It was just this weird kind of pride that lingered in there, and I didn't see it because it just felt like excitement. But there was a lot of excitement, but there was some ego in there too, and it got burned out. Let's just put it that way. And I'm grateful that it did, right? So thank you. Problems cannot be solved by the same mindset that created them. Thank you. I knew some really smart person would know that quote. So once I got clear what those power moves were, which is all you really need to know, because when all else breaks loose, if you know your power moves and you're clear on what the end goal is and you know those power moves, you can walk yourself through anything. So it didn't matter. Like my power moves, really, in order to just have a successful company, I work about 2 hours a day. If I just did 2 hours a day, I would maintain the company. That's unbelievable. Or I could just take 1 day a week and just work that full day, and I could maintain the whole company. It is what it is. If you saw my schedule, like what's required of me, you'd be like, how do you make that much money? And that's all that's required of you. I know. This is an incredible field. We are so blessed, right? But if I am going to scale and keep going, obviously I work a little harder, a little bit more. But once I know those power moves, it's like, okay, even if all hell breaks loose and for the entire year, that's all I can do is my power moves, I'm maintaining. I'm having massive success. I'm loving my people. I'm enjoying life, et cetera, et cetera. But beyond that, once I knew my power moves, now I'm designing my entire company. And so for some people who feel like I don't have a company yet or something like that, or you feel like you only have your, immediate team, like 1 or 2 people, that's fine. This is when you want to learn it. You want to learn it before you're caught in that trap that I see people heading towards. And I'm just hoping that it's a very rare experience for people, but I have an inkling that it's not going to be. And I feel like I was taught this gift that I'm taking my clients through in the Ultimate How, so that they could walk their people through it, or they could navigate that when it comes up, and that it'll just never happen for them. It can't happen for you. It can't. What happened to me can't happen for you when you learn what you're learning in here, because what you're going to learn to do is create a company, which I know if you haven't had an experience do this, a lot of my clients are massively successful. You guys get this, you know it's already true. But for some people, this might feel like too good to be true. But this is about you being more you. And the more you are, the more successful you will be. That is what the whole world is leaning towards: authenticity and trust and honesty and personal relationship and all of these kind of things. So it really is actually the skill of you learning how to be the best you, learn how to back those with the skills and the power moves, and then design an entire company around that. And believe it or not, it's incredibly difficult when you're just trying to navigate that. It is so difficult. And so I had to create a process to make it really friggin' simple. And that's what I did in the Ultimate How To. So I want everybody to be able to have the opportunity to go in there. That's why we did is 50. I've never done a 50% off coupon ever in my whole life. And I said, screw it. This is so important. I see that I don't ever want people to experience the pain that I just experienced. I don't want people to feel like they're racing, trying to keep above water for any friggin' reason. And I don't want people to beat themselves up like something's wrong with me because I can't get myself to do what I need to do. No, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just telling yourself you have to do something that you don't really want to do. It's not who you want to be. Your inner guidance, your soul is saying, no, not that. And you'll find when you get this aligned, it's like that resistance just moves. You know that. Resistance is just emotion. It's just emotion. It's not like thought and how to. It's not a tangible thing, right? Like, I don't know. What's a good example? Like when you're tired and you want to go to sleep, the best example that I ever still can think of, even though I'm single now, is like when you're married and you're really pissed off and he's going to sleep, but you're wide awake, or like you're in an argument and like he's like, I'm falling asleep, and you're like, how could you be falling asleep? I'm wide awake. I'm still ready to have this conversation. But if you weren't so fired up, then you'd be exhausted. And that's how it is. It's like when it's just you having the freedom to be more of you, there's no resistance. What is the resistance there? And we have all these stories like, I'm afraid of success, and I'm afraid of failure, and I'm afraid of I don't really think so, actually. No. when I do the work, because I rewire these things with my clients, thousands of clients, this is the stuff I help them with and rewire this and navigate this stuff. And yes, I'm going to support you with all of that and the ultimate how-to. That's not really what's going on. It's not. It's so much simpler than that. It's simple. Yes, your nervous system is feeling unsafe to move towards the thing, but a bigger part of this is the thing you're moving towards isn't in alignment with you, or you would be smooth. A lot of my clients say, I just want to feel in that flow. I want to feel like I'm flowing and this is easy. I got my groove, right? Like, so I wake up, I hop online and do some online stuff. I do my journaling, I do my blogging, I drive to the gym, I take my call with my COO, and I'm running on the treadmill or doing whatever. I'm working out. By the time I'm done, the team call's done. I come home, I wake up, well, first thing in the morning, I wake up to a couple client calls. So like 4 times in the week, the first thing I do is hop on a client call. And then, and then I, take a shower, I cook my breakfast, and then I do like my content creation or run my programs, take a couple more private clients, and there's just a flow, there's an ease, there's always content. I always know what I'm saying and doing, and I know how the whole company's designed and organized. I'm going to teach you that. The different parts of the company and who does what and what the tasks are and how to hire people. Like literally, I'm going to leave no stone unturned. And then once you know your power moves, I'm going to teach you how to do those power moves with an expert level. It is the program I needed for 4 years and could not find. And parts of it, of course, I had private mentors that I had private one-on-one calls and asked them so many things, and they've downloaded so much stuff to me. This isn't all 100% figured out. I mean, I've studied other people's companies. I've learned with the top minds in the field. I'm so blessed. And everyone except for the very first mentor just handed everything over. They just taught me everything. And that's what I'm here to do. The last part, though, I figured out myself. This part of like, how do you actually let it be you, right? Like I've heard so many other people saying, it gets to be what you want it to be and blah, blah, blah. But they didn't teach me how to do that. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know. You do, like, success leaves clues. You do what works for other people and it feels good sometimes. But then what do you do when it doesn't feel good? And all this is what I know to do, and none of that feels good. Then what? Right? That's what this program is. And the whole point is that you're going to have your power moves. You're going to wake up every day. You're going to know exactly what to do. You're going to find a lot less resistance to doing it. And you're going to know the direction that you're headed and how it all feels. You're not going to have it all like, you can't predict 5 years of your company. I wouldn't even want you to do that, right? Imagine if you, like 5 years ago, you had to follow everything that you planned 5 years ago now. You'd be pissed. You don't want what you wanted 5 years ago. You know what I mean? So we don't do that, but you're going to have such a flow and an idea of like, it's just going to be so much easier for you to make decisions as you move forward in your company and build your company and have success, work with the clients, all the things that you're doing. And of course, when you have a deepest message and when you're really clear what your power moves are, that consistency it is what it is. Consistency is the mother of all skills. Just being able to be consistent and know what your message is, know what your values are, know who you stand for, that's going to move the dial all in all of itself, right? So I hope this answers a lot of the questions I've been getting. If you have any other questions, just let me know. And if you're someone who feels like this doesn't feel aligned, but you want to know what your power moves are, I would say just begin with telling yourself the truth about anything that doesn't feel good yet. Like in the beginning, if I had been more honest with myself, I had these but what if I wanted to stop doing this? I had those thoughts, but I was having so much fun that I didn't care. I was like, I just told myself I would never want to stop doing this, and it's a little bit naive. So I would just do a check-in with what stories am I telling myself I have to do this? It has to be like this. This is what it has to look like, and start freaking challenging those stories. Just start challenging them. It doesn't have to look like anything. It literally doesn't have to look like anything. Okay? So I would begin there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My hair is really bad. Oh, girlfriend was in quarantine and really did a bad, horrible job. I mean, it'll look better when it's done, but she did really bad on my hair. It's been a long time since I had a bad haircut. I didn't even care. I think that's a female thing. Stay up and fight and don't go to bed early. That is the greatest example, right? Because you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, oh, sorry, it's mandyperry.com/how-to. Please hear me. The coupon expires tonight at midnight. Hard stop, because people always purchase the next day, and then if someone else purchases at regular price, I can't give the coupon back, right? Because that's not fair to the people purchasing at regular price. So if you're hemming and haw about this and you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to reach out, but don't hem and haw past midnight. That's what I'm saying. Make a decision. Be decisive, right? Oh my God, look how it froze me on Facebook. Whatever, Facebook. All right, I love you guys so much. Let me just see if I have anything else to say. Yes, somebody asked me, almost forgot, sorry. Somebody asked me, yes, we're handing over all the legal paperwork. So the CFO that I hired has a legal background, and he went through all of our legal stuff for everything in our whole company, and we're handing that over to you guys. So you guys will have done for you legal paperwork. That was what somebody else asked. I don't think there's anything else you need to know. This is if you want to know your power moves, your voice, your values, how to do this, how to create a company that feels so good for you, how to do it based on who you are, not having to be any different than, like, basically, I want to build my company, I want to do it right now, and I want to do it based on who I am. I don't have to be at a different level than where I am. I don't have to be any further along. I don't have to know anything different. I don't have to be any different. I'm literally tailoring this to who I am because you are the product. And if you have stories that that's not possible, you're absolutely completely incorrect. And anybody who knows where I started in this can testify to that, right? Hi, Libra. I'm just hopping off. Okay, I love you guys so much. Have an amazing night. I will see you guys tomorrow, or I will see you in the program. Welcome to the new people. I know Tammy's in there. We had a couple people join today, so welcome to you guys. I'll do an official welcome inside of the program. We start on Monday. All right, I love you. Have an amazing night.